Keith, would you do the blessing?
Father, we are so grateful to be called to this place today to do the work that we've been charged to do by the Cherokee people. And we ask that you guide us, that you lead us, and that you always remind us that you are in charge and that our job is to ask you for guidance, and you will show us the way. Help us to do good in all that we do. In your name, we join together and say, amen.
Roll call.
Daryl Legg, Melvina Shotpouch,
Honey.
Keith Austin,
Here.
Danny Callison,
Here.
Julia Coates, Sean Crittenden,
Aye.
Joe Deere, Mike Dobbins, Rex Jordan, Johnny Kidwell,
Here.
Wes Snowfire, Dora Petzkowski, Joshua Sam,
Here.
Mike Shambaugh, E.O. Smith,
Here.
Condessa Teehee, Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
We have quorum. Okay, next, approval of minutes of the May 15th regular session. Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Approved. Reports, next, Jennifer Kirby.
Good afternoon, Council. We have a busy day today, answering calls, trying to get to some of the emergencies that have happened over the weekend. So if you have any questions about my report, I'll be happy to try to answer.
Well, speaking of the emergencies, we have a lot of people in Claremore and Rogers County and North Tulsa County that are without power, with tree damage to their house and a lot of tree damage in their property. So tell me what, you said you've been taking a lot of calls. What's the answers you've been giving people?
Well, I mean, we have to just assess. We have to ask questions, to see if they have relatives, or if they're displaced, if they have relatives, a safe place to go. If not, then we try to go to the next option from there. I mean, really, it's just us, and then we've had some requests for like emergency food. We do have some, just a short-term solution. We have some food boxes for people that maybe have lost all their groceries and just need to get through the next couple of days. It really also, some of them know when their electric's going to come on or when it's anticipated, so we have to take that into consideration too. So it's just a case by case.
In our general area, people are basically being told, don't expect it till Saturday. So
Yeah.
basically means a full week.
Yeah.
And I've been asked by two people here in the last few hours if we can assist in any way with a generator or with that they're unable to find any kind of a tree removal assistance while they're waiting for insurance, because insurance is overwhelmed. And all the tree removal folks are overwhelmed too.
Yes, yes. We do have, it goes on year round. We do have a emergency assistance program that is through the BIA that we have as one of our regular programs, and it helps with up to $1,200 towards an emergency like this.
Okay.
So they would probably, our Catoosa office currently is not open because of no power. Prior office would be the next location. I can get you the phone number for that.
Please.
And they could start making, if they can make those applications, if they're, have their phones or they are able to call in or go by, then we can get those applications started and try to get those expedited as quick as we can.
Now, several folks have talked to me about that they have insurance, but they're scared to death of their deductible because they can't really afford their deductible. And I don't know if this is something that would be able to be maybe helpful in that case.
If they apply for this program, there are no income guidelines, and we do not hold it against them if they have insurance. It's
Okay.
really just depends on the damage to their structure, to their main residence, not like a shop building that's outside that they don't live in daily, but it needs to be their main residence.
Okay. I appreciate this update.
Yeah.
And very much would like to know the best phone number for people in my area to call.
Sure, absolutely. I'll get that over to Gail,
sure
and
we're
she
not
can
a
get it
problem.
out to everybody, all the phone numbers. But yes, our Catoosa office is currently without power, so it's, so we're just trying to disperse people out in other office areas where we need them.
Thank you.
Danny, did you?
Same question.
Same question, all right. Okay, Sean?
Jennifer, I caught the tail end of that. Just someone, as always, if they're in need, this emergency, Human Services Office, if they're able to get there, and you'll assess them, and
Yeah.
there wasn't a particular name for this. It's just help as usual.
Right,
trying
right.
to-
I mean, this is just, it's all emergency, when things like this happen. So we typically try to prioritize. We look at medical conditions, if there's some sort of, device or something that they need, oxygen, things, I mean, those are the priorities, at this time, just to make sure that we're hitting those people that have those emergent issues.
No income on this emergency.
The one that I spoke of earlier, no, there's not an income guideline.
So
Yeah.
that might have been what I missed.
Yeah.
If it happens to be an emergency.
Yes, we do have a BIA program that has existed within our programs. It's not anything new.
So during the assessment, though, they'll figure out.
Right,
if
they'll have
that's
to
the
bring
avenue.
pictures and things like
And
that.
also, I bet rentals wouldn't qualify, would they, for this emergency BI? Because I know Josh and I was visiting with a couple that was rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And that would fall more on the landlords as far as the structure, I'm sure, right?
If, on the structure, yes, but like I said, up to 1,200, that doesn't mean everyone's guaranteed that amount of money. Belongings sometimes,
Freezer
depending
went
on
out,
what,
food,
right,
get
depending
some of
on what all has been affected.
But structure-wise,
No.
that's up to the landlord.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
say yes,
that
it would
makes
be up to the landlord.
Thank you.
So on that 1,200, do they have to bring you pictures?
Yes, they have to bring pictures, they'll have to have, just all the normal documentation, proof of residence. It is for in jurisdiction or in reservation, so.
I'm not going, okay.
Anyone else? Danny?
Jennifer, is that food included if they have no electricity and they've lost all their food, or is that?
I'm gonna have to check on the regulations on that. Most of the time, it's typically like a structural issue if they own the home or belongings. May have to dig a little deeper into that and make sure that that's not excluded or is something that they can count. I'll have to look into that.
What about if, I know we just got a heat advisory, what about going to a motel or a hotel or something? Does that pay for that as well, or is that?
Once we're able to do the application and we've proven that their residence has been affected, then once they get the check, they can put it towards what they need, their needs, what they need to put it towards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else got a question? Mike?
I've had several calls, and I've pretty much told everybody that it wasn't a life or death situation. They were calling about generators. I know that we can't give generators, we don't have enough, we wouldn't have
Right.
anywhere to put them if we attempted to do that, or even maintenance them. So I don't know if it's a life and death situation, is that something that we do? Or I know just for the general, not having any power, we don't do that, we can't. But
Right.
how about a life and death situation? Do we try to do that, or do they need to try to find a relative or a friend or something?
We would if they could go with a relative first, but if those options are not there, we will find a way. We'll find a way to help.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Is that rule still in effect at the commodities house if they lost their say they went and got their food last week and they lost it just a couple of days after, they can't go back, can they, for the month?
At food distribution?
I know they used to, they couldn't, they hadn't changed that for emergency or anything, have they?
I want to be right on that detail, so I'm going to add that to the list of, and I'll get that information out to you guys.
Anyone else? Got any questions for Jennifer? Okay.
Just to be clear, there was a time when there was some confusion about what this or that program might be. Just to be clear, though, this is human services, day-to-day work that you do, right? Even in this emergency. It's not a new thing where everybody's going to
Right.
fill out this and kind of
Right.
get in line. But just as you always do, send them to you guys. You assess the situation.
Yes.
And if it's this particular need, we'll go that way, and you'll
Yeah.
try to find whatever.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear on that, because, if someone got wind of $1,200, but it's good that it's there.
It's-
But,
yeah.
everybody don't particularly need that, just those affected by this emergency.
Yes. Yes, if it's a structural issue that, say, the roof, they know they're going to need that later down the road to help with the roof repair or something. Or it's caused a major leak. Or pipes burst, we get that a lot in the wintertime when we have the inclement weather. And that is something that they would come in for, because it's flooded everything. They're gonna have to repair, they're gonna have to,
Not just my
pour
old
up the
roof.
carpet.
My old
Right.
roof's been needing replaced,
Right.
and it's not leaking. but
Right.
Just
Emergency
just the
situations.
need. And-
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
always answering the phone. We pester
Yeah.
you a whole lot, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Guess that's all the questions, Jennifer, and thank you for
All
your
right, thank you.
time. I got something for you after.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Okay, Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon, council. Good afternoon, everyone. You have a copy of our report. Just a couple things I'd like to highlight. We do have scheduled a grand opening of the Locust Grove Water Treatment Plant on July 11th. That'll be coming up here in the next month and a half or so. And then also as far as transportation projects go, I want to highlight a couple of projects on there. Indian Road, I know that's been a topic of near and dear to several folks' heart, trying to get back and forth between Cherokee and Sequoyah County. That project is progressing along. The contractor is hoping to finish that project sometime we're hoping early July. Now, how early that is, I don't know. Weather can cause delays, as we all know, but they are trying to get both of those sites that we're working on. There's actually 4 sites out there. We're working on sites A and B, and then the counties are working on sites C and D, Cherokee and Sequoyah County respectively. So those sites are also under construction, but we've been in close contact with all the commissioners as far as their sites go, and then keeping track of where our sites are, and we think that really they're all going to finish around the same time, which is really ideal. But one of them has both of the county projects have detours around them, so if ours was to finish before theirs, traffic would still be able to get through. But want to make mention of that. And then lastly, Dwight Mission Road in Sequoyah County, the contractor is finishing up punch list items on that project, and hope to have it officially wrapped up very soon. That's been a ongoing project, and we're looking forward for its final completion. So with that, Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, sorry, I had to step out for just a second. What was the update on Indian Road and its completion time that we're expecting?
There are the two sites that Cherokee Nation is responsible for, which is sites A and B. They're looking at sometime in mid-July, hopefully early July, maybe at the latest mid-July.
Yeah, okay, perfect, awesome. Hopefully that all opens up right before school happens, so.
That's our anticipation.
Good, thanks, appreciate
Yes,
it.
uh-huh.
Appreciate it, Chair.
Anyone else? Well, look like that's it, Mike.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Todd?
Good afternoon, councilors.
No.
I'm a little disappointed that I have to follow Michael Lynn. He rubs it in my face every time. I did want to point back to, I listened to some of the committee meetings earlier today, and from the health, there was a comment about hepatitis C. And my dad suffered with hepatitis C due to blood transfusion for about 12 years. And Dr. Mira, and so because of that, I am intensely familiar with what hepatitis C does to the body. And Dr. Mira is a miracle worker from hepatitis C. And so I just want to make sure that he and Whitney get the accolades that are due them, because what they've done is absolutely amazing. A couple updates. Today, we did a bid opening for 5 homes that are new construction in Cherokee, Adair, and Delaware County. We had 4 contractors respond to that, so it was a pretty good response to that. Currently, we have 75 homes that are replacement homes, POV, protecting our vulnerable, or new construction home that are not subdivisions that are under construction at this moment. We are working on others as so as some fall off, we add more to the list. Tahlequah, that subdivision, they started pouring footings last week for that subdivision. So I think we've got 5 or 6 completed in Tahlequah. We have all 24 permits squared away for the housing program. So if you drive by that site on Cedar and Allen, you'll see a lot of progress working there. You see that most of the bricks are already there for those homes as well, so they're getting ready. In Stillwell, that project is moving along nicely. You should start to see the dirt work. We should be notifying those contractors that they've won those bids within the next 7 to 10 days. We are going to have to rebid about 7 different disciplines. We didn't receive enough bids. So framing is a big one. So we're reaching out to as many folks as we can to get as many bids back on that. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So Muskogee, we've for those additional bids, because of the power outage and some of the contractors may be affected by that, we've extended their closing date for those additional bids to come back in next Tuesday. And then Muskogee bids will be back. We extended that. They were supposed to be due back this Friday for the Warrior Edition there in Muskogee, but we've extended it to next Wednesday, just making sure everybody has plenty of time to submit that. So Mide's Glory, the housing edition there, just back behind us here. There are 7 homes that are almost ready. We have identified each of the applicants that will fill those homes. We haven't notified them just yet. We have 7 more that will be done by the end of summer. And then there are 7 that are underway with AIRT, which is the Innovative Readiness Training Team that's there on site. They started May 15th. And I would like to extend that out if the council would like to try and figure out perhaps sometime in July, to go out there and take a look at that site. You can see some of the work that's going on, perhaps at the next, if schedule allows it, at the next committee meeting day. And next month, I would also like to highlight the ERAP program, which is Emergency Rental Assistance Program, that just closed out officially, and we submitted all of our documentation and information to the federal government. And it is absolutely amazing what they did with that program and the number of households served. And so next month I'll bring that as long as the schedule permits for that. Well, it won't take a ton of time, but it'll take a little additional time. Other than that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
You said a lot of numbers relating to how many houses were either in construction or under contract and so forth. I lost track, but it sounded like it was well in excess of 100 homes that are currently in the process of being built.
Actually, that number's really close to 200, and that's our
Okay.
goal, is to keep 200 homes under construction at some point.
That's impressive. I don't know where we were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago with that number, but I'm betting that it wasn't that many.
Yeah, it's, the work is pretty daunting, even for our contractors to keep up with. And so I try to make, instead of personal goal, that I call at least one contractor per day to visit with them, even if they're not doing work for us, to consider bidding on some of the projects that we have to try and get as many homes built for our citizens as possible.
Well, I applaud that your team to have that much going on at all times is really impressive. And
Well, thank you. And
I know the goal many years ago was to build a lot of homes, and I think we're reaching that place where that seems like realistic goals now.
we are, we're working on projections for the next 7 years on what we're going to be forecasting as need as well as budget and how we're going to cover that. So we're now in the mode of taking a look at what we need 7 years from now to make sure that we got a good game plan rolling forward.
Good deal. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else?
This question, since COVID has ended, has more contractors come out, new ones?
Some new ones, but actually what hurt us is a lot of contractors, much like several healthcare providers and healthcare workers, they decided to retire. And so we've had a lot of great skilled tradesmen and some of our contractors that have said they're tired and they want to go home. And so we've lost some really good folks. I've talked to some other contractors that haven't worked for us in a while and asked to consider bidding on the work. So I think they're out there. We just got to go back out and reassure them that we've got a good set of plans and some good work. They just want to see that work is going to come at them at a regular pace. I also think that a lot of contractors that have been tied up on a lot of other residential development, Northwest Arkansas, that market is starting to slow down, as well as Tulsa. I think the commercial market's still booming, and it's highly competitive, but just based on the response and the interest that we've seen in several of our residential projects, including Muskogee, the Warrior Edition, we're starting to see a lot more interest from contractors. So I think it's going to work to our advantage to keep projects moving and make sure that we're hitting as many contractors as possible. That was a long answer to a short question. Hopefully I answered it. Trying to pull my best manifest for Councilor Crittenden over here.
So basically, in a nutshell, we don't have enough contractors to complete those 200 homes
No.
at this time.
No, I would like to have quite a few more contractors that are working on our projects because the ones that we have are tied up. They're great contractors, don't get me wrong, they're just tied up and they're busy.
So I know, obviously, we're Taro. We prefer Indian-owned businesses, but there may become a time where, some of our citizens are getting older, and we are going to have to look outside the box to get these people homes while they're still capable of enjoying them. Is there any plans on looking outside of Taro to do these things? And if so, will that have any negative effects on things if our policies, how we do things? I mean, would it matter?
Yes and no. It won't have any impact other than we'll spend less dollars with Taro contractors. However, some of the contractors I've been visiting with are non-Taro vendors as well, because Taro contractors receive preference, but it doesn't guarantee them to the work. For the non-Taro vendors, they're a little shy of bidding on the work because they're concerned they put all the time, effort, and money into evaluating hundreds of sheets of floor plans and site development and civil work and everything that goes along with them to prepare a bid, and then lose out on it because they were $200 higher than a Taro contractor. But I'm concerned, so one of the concerns that I have is the responses that we received on some of our bids. For example, a replacement home for an elder. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's ADA accessible. It's a very basic home, nothing fancy about it. It's lap siding. It's very efficient, but it's not like granite with custom brickwork or anything like that.
Plain Jane.
Plain Jane. Those houses are coming back at anywhere between $230,000 and $271,000. And these are 1,000-square-foot homes, so that's $231 a square foot.
Well, and you're also, we had a conversation about this, what the people would have to pay to live in some of these homes. They can't afford it.
Correct.
They just cannot afford these new houses. I don't know. You got your job cut out for you.
We want to work with as many tarot vendors as we possibly can, but we also want to build houses and take care of our citizens, and so it's a balance. So right now, just looking at that list of 75 that I said earlier, those are all managed by tarot contractors. So we have the opportunity to diversify and get more folks engaged and potentially save some money.
So what about, we talked the past too about some people don't care, they would take a trailer house. And we've discussed that to get people quicker into homes if they're willing. Could we ramp that up a little bit?
Yeah,
If that's what they
yes.
prefer?
I actually had a conversation with a contractor this morning, and we're going to sit down and talk about some strategies to deploy those quicker.
Well, I just think we're going to have to think outside the box a little bit to get these affordable and get people in quicker. It's just, it's tough. I don't envy your job. That's money is, man, things are so high. So we appreciate what you do, though. It's tough.
Danny?
Yeah, Todd, have you also looked at the prefab, like, I believe there's a business out of Arizona or somewhere that makes the houses by the walls and has everything in them and they put them together? Are those still $230 a square foot, or are those a little different?
They all fluctuate. We've considered having our own internal workforce that if we get efficient enough at our design, so we're going back and redesigning our homes. Long story, I could talk to you guys for hours about this. I'm an architect wannabe, but we're looking at and evaluating our home designs, and I'm trying to create that so that they're modular, so that we could erect and build walls as kits and have those in a warehouse. And so when a contractor is awarded a bid for an on-site stick-built home, they just come in and pick up a kit for that particular house, and it's already prefabbed and sheeted on the outside. It's still open, so they can do the rough in on the inside of the house. They come together and they bolt it together and fasten everything, put the trusses on, and throw the roof on and wrap it. And theoretically, they should be in the dry-in within 48 hours. So we are looking at design, everything from design to construction methods to contractors to modular homes to every aspect to try and figure out ways to do it. And the example I gave to the staff one day is when you go to the store, do you buy a single size of Band-Aids or do you buy the variety pack? And we have to look at our housing solutions that way. We have to look at a variety pack because needs are going to be different. Some have to be done rather quickly. Some are in downtown Tulsa and they have very strict guidelines on permitting, and some are in rural areas and we have more flexibility, and some are on the side of a hill, some are in a swell, and so there's lots of ways for us to look at that, and so we're trying to find all of the Band-Aids in the box for us to meet all the needs that are out there and do it as efficiently and quickly as possible.
Wes, did you have a question?
Yeah, what's the time frame that you're seeing construction crews able to go get their terror certification for building homes with us? Because I do know a few builders that haven't looked at it before in the past, but now being interested in it, or maybe I'll make them interested in it, is considering the fact that there's such a great need there to fill more home builders on the vendor side.
I talked to a couple here lately. There's one that reached out to me last week. They're in the process of getting a certification. I think they're from start to finish, they're looking at about 60 days.
6 days, okay, good. Yeah, I knew that at one point it was years back when last time I looked at it. It took a little while longer, so I'm glad to hear that that's.
As long as they got the materials and things
Things they can
that
get
they
moving.
can walk in and
Okay.
get everything filled out, they're
I'll
looking about 60
probably grab
days.
with you soon after this, though, I know a couple guys. I want to get them looped in and try to help out with that, considering it's it's a massive feat. I know that we're years behind getting them caught up, and it's a lot to deal with whenever prices are that high. And I think there's other avenues, and looking at some of the building plans and stuff too that you guys have to look into it, help out where I can.
The material costs have actually come down.
Yeah,
Not on everything, but most things. So for example, the framing package for the houses at Might Glory last year were 18,000 and some change. That exact same house, the framing package this year was $8,100. So that piece of it has come down. What has continued to stay or rise is honestly labor. And it's just, they are so busy, they're working on nights and weekends, and they have plenty of work in front of them. And so that's the increase in costs that we're seeing in a lot of cases. Now, there are some material costs that are staying up there, but most of this is associated with labor.
how is it going with our contractors and Teros and working with getting them more foremans through career services? Are we getting a lot of people applying through career services to try to get on a contracting gig or working for a contractor, I'm assuming, best way of putting it?
So there was a press release that we sent out, a week or so ago, that said that we're now text messaging Tero contractors. So we use a keyword search, so the keyword goes in, if we're looking for a general contractor, we put in the keyword under the Tero certification for
Right.
general contractors. So now every Tero vendor gets a text message related to that. But as a side part of that is we've been working with Commerce and Career Services and the Tero team to make sure that any Tero vendor that's interested in doing workforce and they need some level of assistance, whether it's credit coaching or maybe a loan to help them over the hump, if they need help filling out paperwork, staff members from both of those areas are willing and offering their assistance to those Tero contractors to get them as much work as they can. So,
Perfect.
And we've made a couple of referrals over to them and some of the contractors that are struggling, and trying to make sure and prop them up and get them put back on their feet.
Good, awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of work trying to keep everybody put together and hopefully get all those homes built.
And
that
then you
work.
throw a storm in the middle of that, and it
Yeah,
just, yeah.
and I think, well, I guess the other thing is too, we have some time left on those Cherokee Nation provided employees to Cherokee Nation businesses. Are we finding any of those that are going into that field of building homes? From you guys' standpoint, are you hearing of them getting translated over? For instance, I know you have like a restaurant business that's needing to hire other staff members, and there's a Cherokee Nation program out there that helps fill those staff positions.
Yeah, Tero actually helps with placement of a lot of construction trade personnel, so the
Yeah.
elder housing that we're building in Stillwell,
Yeah,
that contractor has requested, and they've had several employees or temporary workers that come in from a Tero recommendation.
good. Yeah, I just didn't know if there was people going into that field. I'm hoping that there is, considering the amount of work that's needing to be done, so.
I wish there were more,
Yeah,
to be
so,
honest,
perfect.
so.
Awesome, okay, appreciate it, Madam Chair.
Anyone else? Well, looks like that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, old business, none pending. Okay, new business. Josh, would you take that?
All right, this is a resolution approving and authorizing the submission of the fiscal year 2024 Indian Housing Plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I put this in form of a motion.
Any discussion? Not? All in favor? They'll go to the full council tonight. Is that right, Sean? Okay. Announcement, any announcements?
You know, after listening to a lot of things, what's going on in this nation, I think a lot, a way that maybe this council could help maybe promote some things. I think we got to have a little better communication, especially in our schools, because I was talking to an educator this weekend up in the Collinsville area, and he was asking if we had any career tech schools, or do we offer career tech money. They had no clue about our technical schools and the things that we do and the training. He said, like being a roofer or electrician or things. We have those things, but I think we need to get that out better to the high schools to understand that there are other alternatives besides going to college if you want to make a good living, and we offer that. So maybe it would be contingent upon getting with the education department and even housing, and getting with those schools in each of our districts and finding out if they know about these programs, and maybe have some type of, we will be responsible for all of these schools in our districts to have somebody come in and talk to them about this career tech, this path of life for the future, and make, maybe they can be responsible contributors to the Cherokee Nation as far as whatever they choose to do. But if they don't know, and you will never know unless somebody tells you. So maybe that's something we need to do as a council, to set that up where we can go into the schools and find out if this is being offered for the kids to know about. If not, then we need to get with education, and we need to go have some type of meeting with 9th through 12th and just tell them what we offer here at the Cherokee Nation. And maybe that's a way to jumpstart maybe getting some jobs and getting some people to work on these houses or as electricians or whatever it is. But I think the gist of the thing is they just don't know it's offered. So maybe that's something that we need to do as tribal councilmen, and kind of take that bull by the horns and just start it, hook up and do it. So that's just a thought.
See, the next meeting will be July the 10th at 4 p.m. I need one more motion. All in favor? Aye. And meeting adjourned.